Hello and welcome to the Genius Core AMS, and very happy to have you. Genius Core AMS stands for Genius Core Application Management Services, and we are a heavy Scrum company, and we utilize a system called Podio that's run by Citrix. And you know Citrix from Go to My Meeting, Go to My PC, all those kinds of things. Pretty awesome tool. For each customer that we have, we actually go in and we set up a separate, close that one. We set up a separate, these are all the other groups that I belong to, but we set up a separate workspace for every person that we manage under Genius Core AMS inside Podio. Today, we'll be explaining exactly how that works and how our Scrum, very simple Scrum process works, and how you can just basically come in and pick up work. It's very simple. The idea is that once we invite skilled people to come in and work on projects, you have carte blanche to work on the project within inside the time periods of the sprints that we do. First of all, I hope you know a lot about Scrum already. If you don't, very quick introduction. Scrum is an agile management process for software that utilizes a basic concept of stories, sprints, and releases and product backlog in order to classify work that needs to be done and get it out to the customer as quick as possible. All right. That being said, we'll kind of go through this really quick. When you come in and you get your invite at Podio and you fill out your username and your password, you'll be invited to our activity desk, and all of our workspaces look exactly the same. So, Global Atlanta website test. This would be the workspace for Global Atlanta. And in here, you would basically click on request. Once you're in, you see whoever can request a job to be done inside of this workspace. So right now, of course, Trevor Williams is the only person that can request a job in this workspace. He is the stakeholder. So our products will list all the products that we manage for this organization. And then one of the key things is you'll see the platform technology behind each one, whereas Global Atlanta is a Python Django website and Airport City is a PHP WordPress site. Okay, and it really is that simple. These two things you really never have to touch. Now the user actually puts in his stories and actually says the different things that he'd like to get done, and we classify those stories in accordance to our the status of work that they're currently in. One is the backlog. Those are things that we have not touched yet. Anything that's in the backlog is something that you can just pick up and take. The other, work in progress, on hold, and done. Very key thing about a backlog is that once you see a backlog item that you know that you're going to pick up, you're going to put the estimated completion hours there and just check that. Typically, the project manager will go in, assign the estimated completion hours, and that will give you a total of number of hours in the backlog. For your contractors, you'll know that this is exactly how much money you can make. So it's very significant to know that, hey, I see that there's 7 hours of backlog there. That's what I can get. That's the money that's on the table. You also get an understanding of how many hours and what the workload is. The customer has driven everything by priority. We can sort by estimated completion hours and then by priority. Depend on whatever. We can sort in any way, shape, form, fashion. But very interesting that you always want to pick the things with the higher priority, 1s, 2s, 3s, so forth and so on, before you pick those into the lower priorities like the 6 and the 4s and so forth and like that. So that we're actually turning things out to the customer in the order for which they have the expectation to receive them. How do you pick up a product? Because from here, it's pretty much just wide open, right? So the question is, how do I actually pick up a project? Well, let's just take a look at that really quick. Once you come into the system and you see the different things that are on the table, so all of these are backlog, add a CO, install Jetpack. We're going to go to a sprint. Once we go to a sprint, we're just going to add a new sprint. We enter our sprint goal. Let's just say basically to get the work done by the month, do whatever, something simple, something understandable, something relevant. The time and the date. Now, a sprint always ends at the end of the month. So you can start a sprint at any time you pick this up, but your end time needs to always match the end of the month. So it needs to be on the 30th or the 29th. Stories are actually the tasks that need to be done, and there they go. So one of the things we can do is we can go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this task, I'm going to do this task, and I'm going to do this task. Now you've been assigned those tasks inside of this sprint. You haven't finished any of it, so you're no reason to adjust this until later. And then you put a review date. The review date is always the last day of the sprint. So we can just put here, there's no end date, it's just the date for there. And then that's it. We just hit save, right? So let's go ahead and name this something. Right? So maybe myself and exactly what's going to get done. And there you go. So now we know that that sprint will be completed by you. When we look at our sprints, it automatically assigned exactly what was the estimated completion hours for the sprint that you just took responsibility for. 3.5 hours. And the hours completed within the sprint already is 1 hour because, of course, I put a project that was already done. Now, once you put the sprint inside here, if you want to work out of your sprint, that's one thing. It's not so bad. You can do that. It allows you to see the information, for instance, work in progress here, so forth and so on. It doesn't allow you to drill down into that particular task. Once you know the story that you're working on, you want to go in the Stories tab, choose that story, and as soon as you start working on it, you want to say it's a work in progress. If you run into a problem, you want to say it's on hold, and very importantly, enter a comment as to why it's on hold. And then when you finish, hit done. Now, at the end of it, once your sprint, and only once your sprint has finished, then you can bill for that sprint. The expectation is that the bill will never be more than what the sprint was estimated unless there are some serious circumstances. And if there are serious circumstances, then you would need to go into your sprint, click it, and add a note to the sprint, or comment I should say, here, and explain why this sprint will take longer or have more hours in it than it was anticipated. We pay according to what the sprint was at the time that it was put together and complete. We will not pay if we did not approve those hours. Consider the estimated hours as approved hours for that sprint. Money that we are more than happy to pay back out to you as a contractor. If this sprint were to go from an estimated 3.5 hours and all of a sudden jump up to 6 hours or have a 6-hour completion, then there's an issue. We're only going to pay up to 3.5. And that's something that you really need to be aware of. If so, and just knew a particular project or a particular goal, let's just say, figure out how to create country pages or something like that, would it take a little bit longer? Well, you need to notify us. You need to write into the sprint it's going to take longer, or even better, you can write into the actual item itself and explain exactly why it will take longer. And a good thing at that time is to take it out of work in progress, put it on hold until you get an answer to that comment. And that really is it. Everything that you bill us from that sprint will be included in your ODS billing, and we will pay it accordingly as long as we come to the review date and we make the reviews of the code. Any kind of links or anything like that that need to be associated with any of this can be. So we can just go here. All right. Let's add let me go into it. There are your relative links. So any links to the work or anything like that can be included within the story, not the sprint. And that's what we'll use to check up, make sure the work is done. And it really is that easy to work with GC-AMS, and it's that easy to pick up work. You're on your own to do what you need to do. You know, according to your Odesk contract, how long you have to work in, what our limitations are for paying within a particular month or a particular week. So please be mindful of that. Take care.